Hi, it's Kim Jamison Hurst from Chatterbox Quilts. Recently, I had the opportunity to be interviewed by Stephen Bland of The Idiot Quilter. And if you don't know about Stephen and his YouTube channel, you can check above or in the description below for a link to his YouTube channel. So Stephen and I had a great chat about the Quilter's Way, and you've heard me talk about this before. So if you're wondering what that's all about, watch the video because I explain it in depth as well as what's upcoming with the Quilter's Way and some changes that we're going to be making.
Hello, everybody. Yes, this isn't me. This is my friend Kim Jamison Hurst from Calgary. And we're going to get into where she's from, what she does, and who she is, and why she's in this video in a moment. But welcome to So Chatty. And you'll notice that we're absent Walter. He's here somewhere in the house with Gary, who is Kim's husband. But the whole reason I have Kim on here is that Kim is the owner-operator of The Quilter's Way. You've heard me talk about The Quilter's Way many, many times on my channel because I am a member. But I thought we would take this opportunity to really talk about what it is and who's behind it all and when I have this opportunity to do it. So we're going to start. So Kim, welcome to this episode of So Chatty. And tell us about yourself, Kim. Like, okay, I said that you're from Calgary, but you're not originally from Calgary, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm originally from Ontario, which is where we are right now. So yeah, Southwestern Ontario, Chatham. So I'm a Chatterbox from Chatham. How I got the name of my company, Chatterbox Quilts, is what my company is, and we run the Quilter's Way is one of the things we do. So yes, but as my husband has told me, we have been in Calgary longer than I lived in Ontario because when we fly back to Ontario, I always say I'm going home, and he goes, no, home is really Calgary. So, but yeah, so Ontario is still kind of home to me.
So before we even get into talking about the Quilter's Way, let's talk a minute about you. And we know a little now about where your roots are and things like that. But let's talk about what you did for a living, because I know you didn't do the Quilter's Way for your whole life.
No. We've been doing that for 6 years. We'll talk about that later,
Yep.
right? But no, I've done a variety of things actually. So, I worked in life insurance in Chatham for many years. They transferred me out to Calgary. That's how I got out to Calgary, actually. They actually transferred me out there. So I worked for them for quite a number of years. Went back to university to finish my degree. Yes, I'm a bit of a dropout. But anyway, went back, finished my degree at 30. Oh my gosh, just a few years ago. And then I worked in oil and gas, basically, because in Calgary, that's typically what you do. So I worked in oil and gas and administration for several years. And then I was at home with my kids and I got into quilting. And it's been a runaway since then.
So let's talk about your quilting background then. So you got into quilting. So how did you get into quilting?
Well, it's kind of funny. I was with one of my friends. Okay, so let's take a step back, because what is quilting, right? So to me, quilting is doing it all by hand. And I get bored really easily. My mind jumps. I have a squirrel brain. My mind jumps around. So sitting there, sewing by hand was not going to do it for me. So that's why I always thought it was, until one day I was at one of my friends' places and she was doing some fusible web or raw edge applique. So she had me tracing out some of the shapes, on the fusible web, and I couldn't figure out what the heck was going on because it's a little confusing because it's kind of backwards, right? But I saw what she was working on, which was a big alphabet quilt by Nancy Halverson, Art to Heart. And I went, oh, this is gorgeous. This is really cool. And then another friend of mine at the same time, I went into her house and she had these really nice wall hangs up. And I go, oh, like, how do you do that? And she says, well, it's quilting and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I like that. And so she said to me, what you should do is go to a store, because most quilt shops have beginner classes, right? Mm-hmm. So we said, go to a store, take a beginner class. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. Well, guess what? I loved it. And it was just full speed ahead from then on. So yeah.
So the quilting bug bit you.
It sure did.
In a big way. So how many years then have you been quilting?
Oh, that's a good question. I have to think every so often. Over 20, I guess, maybe 22 years.
Oh, God. Well, you've been in this for quite a while.
I guess so.
In the game. Well, yeah, and I knew that you had been, because that's why. And when we start talking about the Quilter's Way, you'll realize that Kim brings to it years of experience. So this is just not a whimsical little thing here that we're talking. But before we get into that, so let's talk a little bit about what you do. Now, I know that you are a Janome ambassador.
Yes, I'm a Janome, what we call an artisan. In Canada, we call them artisans. In the States, they call them makers. but I've worked with Janome for about 6 years now, I guess, 6 or 7 years. I lose track anyway. So, but I work with their machines. I love the Janome machines. They're very reliable. I just really enjoy working with them. And what I find working with one brand of machine is that when I come out, I work on another newer model. It's sort of like, when you buy a certain car, like you buy a Honda, for example, but you get a new Honda. So things are a little bit different, but they still feel pretty comfortable and things are still in the same spots. That's kind of what it's like with Janome. But I do videos on their different, some of their machines, not all the machines, obviously, but some of their machines. And I also contribute to their Janome Life blog posts as well. So you'll see information there from me too.
And also, you own a long arm, right?
I own a long arm. Yes, I do. I have a Handy Quilter Infinity. So that's a big 26-inch space. So I have that in my studio, which is not big enough, of course, but
It never is.
That's what I say. Yeah, my
Yeah.
husband would say, "Oh, you've got pretty much the basement, honey, so you're good, right?" So I have a long arm as well, so I do long arming too. Yeah.
And not only that, but I think you've recently, as in the last couple of years, have gotten into a little bit of machine embroidery as well.
Yes, I have, and I think that was probably inspired by you, Stephen, because again, this was something I remember years ago, like probably 15 years ago or so, looking at getting a new machine, and they were trying to sell me on an embroidery, a combo model, and I'm like, I'm not interested in machine embroidery because to me, much like quilting, I guess, when I think back what I thought it was, to me it was like embroidering little, Disney characters, Mickey Mouse and stuff on kids' clothing. I was not interested in that at all because you didn't do freestanding lace in those days or
No.
a lot of the other in the hoop things that you could do. So I'm glad I waited. So I have a Janome 500, which is one model back from what Stephen and Walter have. But I kind of jumped into that big time, seeing what Stephen does, and one of our other members in the Quilters Way, Rob, too, both inspired me, and like it's so much fun.
So basically, you brought all of this experience and your affiliations with Janome and other groups as well, and you brought this all together into the Quilters Way. But before you did the Quilters Way, you were running Chatterbox Quilts, which you've already alluded to. So what is Chatterbox Quilts?
Okay, so Chatterbox Quilts is my company. Okay, so, and we have different products. All right, so we have courses, for example, the online courses that I will have. What else do we have? We have, like, the Quilters Way is a product, as I said. I do Zoom presentations for guilds or other organizations as well. So it's basically my company, and then all these other things are offshoots that I do. Yeah.
Okay, so the Quilters Way, as you've already mentioned, is an offshoot from the main company.
Right.
So let's talk about the Quilters Way because I am a member of it as well. But let's go back to before the Quilters Way was what the Quilters Way is today and talk about why did you start the Quilters Way?
Well, people will ask me this. It's just like saying, when did you start your YouTube channel and why? And I'm going, now it's hard to remember exactly, but I think, as you can probably tell from the name of my company, that I'm a very social person. So I love talking to other people. I love sharing my information with other people. I love learning from other people as well, because I guess I'm a lifelong learner, right? So there's always more you can learn, and I love doing that. So I wanted to have a space where I could bring people together so that they could learn, so I could learn from them too. I mean, the main thing is for them to learn, but I always learn from my members too. And we have changed a lot over the years. We've been running 6 years now. We started off focusing on certain aspects of quilting, and there's a lot of information in the Quilters Way. All that information, everything we've done from the beginning is still there. Then we kind of switched to going into a little more free motion quilting, and now we have landed on, and this is all, feedback from members as to what they're looking for and what's helpful for them. Now what we do is we work on different projects. We are helping people learn new quilting skills, or maybe different ways of learning existing skill that they already know about. And we do projects. I believe in learning, like hands-on learning by doing. And so we do smaller projects so they have a chance to, experiment, learn a new skill, and, on a small scale. I don't want them making huge quilts, because if it's something that you don't enjoy doing, like, it's always great to try new things, right? You may like it, and that's great. You can go ahead with that. You may not like it. It might not be your cup of tea, and that's perfectly fine too, right? But you haven't wasted a lot of time and money and fabric and that type of thing. So that's kind of what we do now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it is a membership site, so there is a fee. So can you tell us a little bit about that? What would be the cost? Is there a free trial period? How does this all work?
Yeah, for sure. So yes, we have a free trial period for sure. We have a 14-day free trial period right now. So that means for 2 weeks, you have access to everything that's in there, like all the information that's there. There are courses in there. There are videos on the different projects. Not every project has a video, but we have in-depth instructions. We do our lives, usually twice a month. We have live Zoom sessions. Those are all recorded. You can watch those too. There's a lot of learning that goes on in those. So you have access to everything there for the 2 weeks, and it doesn't cost you anything. At the end of the 2 weeks, if you want to continue on, you'll just continue on, or you can cancel. That's fine. Right now, we are at, I'm going to quote American Money right now, $19.99 a month is what we're charging currently. And we also have other currencies as well. So like that's American coin. We also have Canadian, we have European, I always forget them, but we have different currencies depending on where you are in the world, because you can join anywhere in the world because it's online. And we also have annual memberships available too. So that saves you a little bit of money if you want to do that. So yeah.
Okay. Now, what if someone gets involved with it? They've done the trial period, they've decided to join up, and then down the road, a month or two later, they decide for whatever reason they want to cancel. Is that possible?
Of course, absolutely. It's, we're not locking anyone into any kind of a commitment here, not at all. We want people to come, we want them to enjoy, and we know that different things change in your life and stuff, right? Like you may not be able to, like, maybe you're having, let's say, a world vacation and you're not going to have access to the internet for, 6 months or something. So you can certainly cancel your membership at any time. That's not a problem. And it's really easy to cancel. You have an account in there. You can just go in and unsubscribe right there. You don't even have to contact me or anything. I don't look for any kind of excuses or reasons or anything like that. We're not going to try and talk you out of it. The only thing is if you cancel and we increase the rates later on, when you come back in again, you'd be paying that higher rate.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention this. So if you join, so for $19.99, let's say a month right now, if you join and you're with us for 6 months and I increase the price, you don't ever have an increase. Like Stephen's been paying the same price since he joined us 6 years ago, actually, even though we've had several price increases since that time. Yeah. So.
Okay, well, so basically you can have a chance to check it all out. It's risk-free and you can cancel anytime. So really, there is no reason why anybody shouldn't at least try it out and see what's to be offered. And you've said, okay, so you have a whole library of all kinds of instructional videos and information on different things.
Yeah.
But you do run a couple of other things. And you mentioned one of those, and that's the TQW Live, which happens, about twice a month?
Yes, unless I'm on vacation like now.
Yeah.
But yeah, twice a month.
And what happens at one of those?
Well, you never quite know. So
true.
Sometimes I have a tutorial. Sometimes I'm talking about something or explaining something that, like on one of the projects we're currently working on, I may be doing a tutorial on that. And then it's a great time for members to connect with each other, to meet other members. I mean, people who've been in there for a long time, get to know each other and everything. So it's a great time to chat back and forth about, doesn't necessarily have to be quilting either, but we do talk about quilting. And also it's a great time for members to ask questions. So they may, it doesn't have to be on what we're working on at all. Somebody may be struggling with something totally different and they can ask. And the great thing about having those Zoom sessions, I find, I have quite a bit of knowledge, but my members have a ton of knowledge too. And so when someone asks a question, they can get suggestions from not just me, but from all the other people too. So I am just amazed actually when we talk, how much other information comes out, or, someone's seen something that's new or whatever that we haven't heard about, can tell us about it. So it's really, I think the members really enjoy that. I do too, right? And it's really a lot of fun. So yeah.
It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And not only that, but you do give us an opportunity if we want to show what we've been working on or something like that. There's plenty of opportunity to show everybody, and it's very non-judgmental.
Oh,
so if you're somebody just getting into quilting and you've got something you want to show, but you're afraid because you think they're going to point out all your mistakes, no. In fact, you'll be encouraged by that, because everybody knows what it's like. And remember back when they first got it started, and even people like me, I've been doing this for about 6 years. I'm still constantly making mistakes, but that may be why I call myself the idiot quilter, because I do some really stupid things. But it's a non-judgmental place. It's a safe place. You can show your work. And, every now and then you need that boost. You need people to say, no, you're too hard on yourself. That is really a wonderful piece. You should be proud of it. And that goes a long way with you, how you feel about what you're doing. Okay, so now I do know you also have usually about twice a year, something called Energize. Can you tell us
Yes.
what that's all about?
Yes, Energize. Oh, Energize is a lot of fun. So twice a year, usually April and October, we have Energize, which is our virtual retreat. So it's online, and it's coming up not too far in the future again in October here. Every Energize has a theme. Okay, so we have different themes that go on. I'm trying to think. Let's say one time we had Western. Okay,
Mhm.
so Friday night we always kick it off with a couple hours like what we call a cocktail party. So it's your chance to dress up and dress up your studio. And, it's totally optional, right? And we're live on Zoom, by the way. We're live on Zoom. Totally optional, but everybody gets into it. And it's just a real hoot to see what everybody has done, right? And then we go through the weekends, all day Saturday, all day Sunday. We have giveaways, we have tutorials, myself, other people we invite in. Sometimes even our members do that too. They're great about that. And so there's some learning, and then you can work on your own projects over the weekend. There's a lot of talking. It's not all me. And I don't get anything done these weekends
Yeah.
because I'm talking and chatting and learning too. But that's what we do. So it's a lot of fun, and that's included once you're a member.
I was going to say, and what's
Free.
the cost of that?
That's free if you're a member.
Yeah.
And it's only for members. So
Yeah. So you have to be a member to be part of it, but it's
For
a
sure.
lot of fun
It
for
is
sure.
fun.
We have a really good time with that. And the advantage of a virtual type of retreat is you don't have to worry about lugging all your stuff. It's
Yeah.
all there. You don't have to worry about forgetting about anything, and it's just a good time all the way around.
Yeah.
Okay, so we know what we can expect. We're going to get lots of things, lots of resources that can teach us things, that can help us with things. We get a social element in here
Yeah.
as well, which I think is very, very important as well. And of course, we have special events, which involve sometimes guest speakers, Energize, things like that. So,
Yeah.
sounds like an awful lot packed into a small package, but I know there's potential for more. So, can you give us sort of a sneak peek in what you might be thinking about for the future development?
Well, we're always, one of the things that, because we have, as I said, our members have so much information now, we have reached out, we've been starting to reach out a little more to some of our members to give us information on there may be certain things that they really enjoy doing and that they do very well. So we're getting them to give us some, tutorials or some lives or even pre-recorded. Stephen's done some pre-recorded information about long arm quilting machines for us, which has been great. So we're going to be doing some more of that. Energize, of course. I'm thinking about maybe throwing in another challenge. We do challenges too. Now the public can go in on the challenges as well. So we have one that works with your scraps. Let's just say that's one of them, the Wrangle Your Scraps challenge that happens in July. But as a member of the public, you have to pay for it if you're not a member. If you're a member, it's free. Thinking of doing another one to do with some scraps as well coming up, that type of thing. So we're going to continue with some projects. I think we should start going into a little more mixed media. So I might be talking to Steve a little bit more. Some different things, some kind of out of the box kind of things with quilting is fun. And the one thing I got to say with our members, like they're not, rank beginner quilters. Like, you have to know how to quilt sort of thing. We're not teaching you how to quilt. However, you don't have to be much more than a beginner. And I've heard this from several members that they never thought they would try X, whatever technique, but they tried it and they really liked it. And now they just go crazy. Like we've seen people like ruler quilting is a good example with some of them, right? They didn't know anything about ruler quilting. We've done different projects with ruler quilting and information. There's a lot of information about ruler quilting. And they start doing this and they find they love it. And then they start branching out. And then you go, oh my gosh, look at what you've done. Because you talked about being supportive. We're all very supportive. And that first step outside your comfort zone can lead to some really great things, right? Like
recently you were doing foundation paper piecing.
Yes.
And there were quite a few people in the group that had never done paper piecing or had been afraid to give it a try.
Yeah, we were doing paperless paper piecing.
Yep.
Hard to say. Paperless paper piecing, right? But and again, it can be, some of these things can be really addictive. But if I think the real strength in the Quilter's Way, I always say it's my members, right? Because we have great members in there. And they're so helpful and supportive to each other in quilting and in your personal life. A lot of people become pretty good friends, actually. Some of them have met in person because they live near each other, close enough. And even outside of the Quilter's Way, they will meet like online sometimes or in person, and they support each other. If someone's struggling with something else personally, let's say, these guys are, supporting and helping and stuff, which is great, right? And then getting back to quilting, if we're talking like the paperless paper piecing, people are having problems or asking questions, you can go on to the group and ask questions. And if I don't get to it first, one of my members sure does and gives helpful advice and stuff. So I think that's the fact that you're working and learning together, I think is really, really important. And the fact that if you have any problems, you can ask. And I always say there are no stupid questions in the Quilter's Way, because if
That's
you're
true.
wondering about something, I guarantee you somebody else is wondering the same thing. So we
Yeah.
definitely encourage people to ask. And we laugh because we have one member who always says she's the beginner quilter or something. Again, we always laugh and go, "Are you kidding me? No, look at all the things you've done."
Yeah.
So it's just that's I can't overemphasize how important I think that is in the group.
Yeah, it all comes back to what we said before. It's non-judgmental, it's very supportive and everything like that. It's very social, and there's a feature for chatting with other people on there, and you can always show your work. You don't have to wait for the live. We post our projects up on a regular basis, and there are subgroups set up where if you're into machine embroidery, you're working on something like that. As Kim has said, there's several of us on there that are, well, maybe not experts, but not beginners, but we share the knowledge that we have anyways with people. So yeah, there's lots there. So from a point of view, now my point of view of all of this is I have been what I'm called a founding member,
Yes, you are.
actually, because I remember when you first posted, and I did not know Kim at the time, didn't know her from Adam. And we have a little story about that, because the first question I sent to Kim when she was saying she was going to be putting something like this up and you could be on the mailing list to find out when it was a go. And so I put my name on it, but then I saw the price and I saw it in US dollars. And what did I ask you?
Yes, I thought, oh, this guy's going to be a problem. I think
Yes.
you might have, right? Maybe, I don't know. The first thing he said to me, he said, like, yeah, why are you charging, you're a Canadian company, why are you charging in US dollars? And I went, okay. Fair enough, because we sell over throughout the world, and we get this question a lot. Now we offer different currencies. We couldn't at the time, but it's U.S. currency is something everybody recognizes. Mm-hmm. So that's why we do it. And I thought, when I answered him, which I think I answered quite nicely, actually.
Yes, you did.
When I answered him, and I thought, oh, he'll never join.
Yeah. And I did.
Meanwhile, you did.
And I'm still there after 6 years with it all. But I mean, I know the reason I brought this up is because I know there's people out there who hesitate about when they see something, it's a membership and you got to pay money for it. They may have this assumption, and not necessarily unfounded, is that basically they're a business. Once they get my money, that's it. And I'm stuck for it. This is not how this works.
No.
I asked those questions. I'm cheap. So I asked these questions. So if I was going to invest in something like this, I want to see if I could if I was going to get my money's worth out of it. And I can say, well, I'm still a member. So I definitely have out of it. But I did learn quite a bit, because when I joined, I was a beginner in quilting, and I was looking for something that was like this. Also, COVID hit very soon after. And thank God for the Zooms, the lives, because, the people that are on there, I do not consider them just people that are members. I consider them friends. I have not met, only one have I ever met physically. Out of that all, but yet I see them, every other week online. So, and I always look forward to it. I think that's the thing I like about the Quilter's Way, possibly the most now, is that ability to reach out and connect with other quilters. Yeah. And as you said, we teach each other, we learn from each other. If I don't know how to do something, I know somebody on there is going to know, and they're going to explain it to me or whatever. Be prepared for enablers, because someone's going to come up with a product and you're going, ooh, I never saw that. I got to have it. So there is that as well. But it's just a very happy place, and it's why I have stayed with it. And people on here on my channel know that if I didn't believe in something, I wouldn't be talking about it. True. I don't usually on my channel cut up things at all, but I just don't bother to talk about them. So yeah, I'm endorsing this as well.
Oh gosh, we got
you got it. Because right now you're going to have the membership open for a little bit longer. So if you're thinking about, but it is going to close. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Okay. So a couple things. So one thing I haven't mentioned is that we are not a Facebook group. So we are not on Facebook. We are on a totally separate platform called Mighty Networks. Okay. So it hosts the Quilter's Way. Doesn't mean much for you guys, except that we are not on Facebook. So there's no ads, no distractions. We are careful. Hate to say this, careful who we let in, but we are. We don't want any, Debbie Downers or negative Nellies in there and stuff. We want, people who are moving ahead, who are wanting to learn, want to help other people. That's probably one of the biggest things, right? And you have to have a good sense of humor, right?
Mhm.
You have to have a good sense of humor too. That's the other thing. And so what we're doing right now is we are going to be closing the doors to the membership, not permanently. Oh no, that wouldn't happen. But we're going to be closing them for 2023. So later in October, at the end of October, actually, the doors are going to be closed. They won't be opening again until probably about 6 months later in 2024. And at that time, the monthly fees and the annual fees are going to be increased. So what that means is, you join us before the end of October, or else you're going to have to wait till the spring. And when we bring people in, we bring in a group of people so that we can move them through the Quilters Way, explain how it all works, make sure they're comfortable finding things, all that. So you have a bunch of new people that can, like it's always tough, stepping in, or can be tough, stepping into a group of people who already know each other, right? So you will all be newbies coming in together, and then you will gradually, get it. And our members are super friendly and super welcoming too. So that's what we're going to be doing. Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing that you mentioned. You hang on to people by the hand when they first join. You are just not, you paid your money, you're in, you're on your own. No, you're not. And if you have questions about how the system works or anything like that, you just drop Kim an email, you'll get an answer.
Yeah.
You'll get it fixed up in no time. So you will not be left behind. You will not be left on your own. And whatever it takes to get you comfortable, it will, Kim will do that. But it's not Kim alone who does that. The members do it too. We welcome new people all the time. We're excited when we get new blood as well, because we know new blood's going to bring some perspectives that we did not think of before. So it is always good to have new people in there. And so any parting words then? I think I've asked everything. Is there anything we've left out?
To think. Well, we didn't talk about kind of the other person who helps me in the Quilters Way.
That's true. He's downstairs with my husband right now talking about things, but your husband, Gary, is your technical support,
He's
right?
he's my IT. I call him my IT guy, or I call him my team. Sometimes I'll say that. So he does. I mean, I can run things, no problems and stuff, but he will help me, so we record videos and that type of thing. You see me on my YouTube channel and that. He's my guy who records. He does all my editing, that type of thing. You will often see him putting posts in the Quilters Way and talking about various things. He moves things around in there because everything is very well organized we have a library. So for information is in there by topic. He's the one who moves things in there and moves things around online for me. So he does all that. He doesn't like to be in front of the camera. Occasionally, we can get him in for the Energized Cocktail Party. Oh, and we have a Christmas party too. I forgot to say that. We have a Christmas party here too. So, occasionally you'll see him there if I can get him to wear an elf hat at Christmas. But otherwise, he's kind of behind the cameras and that type of thing. But yes, he's a big help for me for sure.
Because to run something like this, it does take a lot of technology that people never see.
Yeah.
It's the behind the scenes thing. It's not just a question of turning on a camera and blaring away at it. Your videos are always very professionally done. You have close-ups of what's going on, that kind of thing. That takes time. That takes a lot of expertise to put that all together smoothly. So Gary's very, very important to all of this as well, but he just won't be on camera.
That's
so
right. Well, you want the prettier one on camera, don't you?
Yeah, true. That's it. Well, we'll put the eye candy on. Yeah, exactly. Mine too. Yeah, Walter's behind me. I'm the eye candy. Actually, I tell them that Walter's the eye candy, but that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about the Quilters Way.
So if people want to find out more on the web about the Quilters Way, where do they go?
Well, they can go to my Chatterbox Quilts website. So chatterboxquilts.com/MPQS, which sounds weird, but it's a legacy thing from a long time ago. You don't want to change your links, have people not find them, but we can put that up on the.
Yes, we can. We can put that in the show notes as well.
But if you go to my Chatterbox Quilts, if you just look up Chatterbox Quilts, you'll find my website, and you'll be able to get that information there. And like Stephen, I have a YouTube channel too. So if you aren't already subscribed to me, come and check out my YouTube channel, Chatterbox Quilts, and you'll find it on YouTube, especially if you're a Janome person.
Yes, lots of valuable information about Janomes, but there's a lot of valuable information on there about all things related to quilting,
and actually a few things that are maybe a little bit more general in the sewing area as well. So there's something there for everyone to check it out. Well, thank you, Kim, for doing this interview. As I said, I wouldn't be taking the time to do this if I didn't believe in this, and I do. I've been a long time member, and there are many of us that are long time members, and all there for the same reason. We're there to have a good time and to learn, and that's exactly what the Quilters Way is all about. Learn
One more
and be
thing I
happy.
wanted to say.
Yes.
Sorry, one more thing I just thought to say is that sometimes people are a little concerned about, when they join a membership, like what's expected of them. Do I have to be at the Zoom, the live sessions all the time? Do I have to do all the projects? And no, because people will say, well, I can't keep up. Obviously there's no keeping up in the Quilters Way. It's your membership. You use it how you want. If you want to join us for the Zoom, we'd love to see you. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, that's perfectly fine. If you don't want to do a project, if you don't like that particular one, or you know that technique really well and you don't want to do it, perfectly fine as well. So, you get from it and take from it what you need and want, as far as your commitment to that. So
It's very customizable.
yes,
Put it that way.
there you go.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you again, Kim, for doing this. I hope this enlightens my subscribers and other people who see this video, as well as to what it's taken the mystery out of what this is all about. And hopefully we will see you on the Quilters Way. So thanks again, Kim.
Thanks for having me, Steve. Thanks for watching today. I hope you enjoyed the video. And for more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com.